Is there a virtual?
No,
She's not.
she's in the emergency.
Oh.
What did they move her over there?
That's what this job will do.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, March 18th. It is now 6 p.m. on the dot. This is a regular meeting of the City Council for the City of Trinidad, Colorado. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 1 on the agenda is the roll call.
DeBono?
Here.
Shu?
Here.
Thurman?
Here.
Trehill?
Here.
Ogletree? Williamson?
Here.
Griego?
Here. Item number 2, approval of the agenda. I have a adjustment to make on petitions or communications for a Trinidad Trails Alliance Trails update by Jen Green. She would prefer to have a presentation at a work session, so just delete item 4A from the agenda. I need a motion.
I make a motion to accept the agenda while striking item 4A.
Second.
Call the vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Trehill?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes. Item number 3, policy items and staff reports. Item 3A, project updates.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Just a few brief updates to let everyone know what's going on. I know that Central Park has been a topic of discussion. I wanted to let council bring them up to speed on that. The original contract amount was $1,174,521.10. There were change orders, and some of the major change orders for the upper restroom renovation. They added new field lights and additional concession stand improvements with a few others. Those totaled overall $280,994.75. And there were a few line item overruns, like we're going to do so many lineal feet of curb and gutter. They did more, so there was overruns. And there were materials bought that totaled $8,760. Overall, the total project cost is to date is $1,578,201.41. The project start date was September 18, 2023. The original contract was 150 days. That would have put the end date at February 15th, 2024. In the change orders mentioned above, there were 183 days granted and 14 weather days. So the contract end date was August 30th, 2024. That's when we had the walkthrough, and substantial completion ended the day count at that time. So they're well within the contract. I know it's taken a while and they're working through it, but there is no liquidated damages. And then there's question that, it's well over 2 million. Well, council approved a contract with Rocky Mountain Turf Solutions for the turf, and that was a project bid out separate from the contract for the Central Park, $599,200. So just to hopefully lay that to rest, that's the update on Central Park. Moving on to the Trinidad Skate Park, we advertised for bid. There's advertisements have been out March 7th, newspaper, and March 14th. There were also bid advertisements sent out to people who specialize in skate park construction and repair. There is a non-mandatory walkthrough scheduled for March 20th for all plan holders. The last day for questions from those plan holders is March 27th. The submittal deadline for bidding the project is April 3rd, 2025. We hope to have a contractor selected April 10th, 2025. We plan to, with everything falling into place, bring that to City Council for your approval on April 15th. And by the time they get everything in order and all their bonds and insurances and all their agreements signed, hopefully to start construction on May 15th. We anticipate a 90-day construction period. End of construction would be August 13th, 2025. There's been, she doesn't have numbers on this, but we keep a plan holders list, and we have 5 contractors who actually specialize in building it. As a matter of fact, one of the contractors is the contractor that built it originally 20-some years ago. So 5 good contractors have requested plans. We hope to get a good, hopefully they sharpen their pencil and we get a good bid on those. So that's the skate park. The pickleball. That is out for advertisement March 14th, March 21st, been in the papers. We have a non-mandatory walkthrough March 28th. The last day for questions, April 2nd. The proposed submittal, April 15th. Contractor selection, April 24th. Presentation for hopefully a good contractor and approval that's within budget, May 7th. Date for construction, May 19th, 90 days of construction, and of construction, August 17th. The location that was selected at Southside Park has a gas main that is an old gas main that fed the garage and the old Noah's Ark building, the old animal shelter. It's an old steel line that crosses the arroyo. We're going to come. When we did the Chestnut Cedar Street project, we stubbed a gas main in there knowing that eventually we'd be taking that out of service. Well, that day came. Their gas department should be working on relocating that gas main the end of this week or the beginning of next week. And so I don't know if there's any questions on any of these. I apologize. I'm just rattling off dates and, things are in progress, just to let the public know. The last one I want to report on is the LEA project. We've finalized the plans and specs that will advertise for bid March 28th, April 4th, and April 11th. There is a walkthrough on April 16th. The last day for questions from contractors is April 18th. The bid deadline is April 23rd. Hopefully award to a contractor on May 6th. Approximate date for construction to commence is May 20th. If council awards On May 6th, there's bonds and insurance and everything required for that project. So May 20th, construction, 90 days for construction. This is wrong. I'm sorry. It says the end of the construction is October 17th. Hopefully, we're done a lot quicker than that in the 90 days. As a side note, as part of that project, we have to move a gas main. Again, an older gas main that is steel pipe, that we have to cathodically protect so it doesn't corrode. It's been in the ground since the early 70s, I believe, when they did the Trinidad downtown project. That gas main, it goes along the back of the Ballalunas Pizza, the theater, and Natali's. If you've noticed, we had to cut the trees down in that area. I know that it's upset some people, but the sidewalk is a mess. Those trees were on private property. We've visited with the owners, got their permission. We're going to run a gas main through there and then repair all that sidewalk. So should be busy, a busy summer construction season. We're going to break a lot of eggs. It's going to be torn up, but you got to break a lot of eggs to make an omelet, whatever that saying is, right?
You're gonna stay for all that activity?
I'll be around. I'll watch it.
Okay,
Yep.
council, you done?
I am.
Okay.
Those were the main projects I just wanted to bring council up to speed on.
Does council have any questions on any of those projects of Mr. Valentine?
Mike, on the skate park project, with the total resurfacing and the makeover, is there a cost analysis, guesstimation?
It's been, prior to my getting here, there was an estimate, and I think it was 110,000. Council approved through CIP to put that as a priority, so we have close to that. Hopefully it comes in pretty competitive bids and we can get that completed.
Thanks, Mike.
Anybody else?
No, I don't.
I don't have anything.
Is there a rendering of that pickleball court? What it would look like after it's done and location and all that?
It's a engineering plan. It's
Gotcha.
not a rendering.
Okay.
We don't do any watercolors or anything,
No
but
cosmetic.
it definitely is. It's over there around the corner where the old Noah's Ark was, and next to the basketball court where they play pickleball now.
Gotcha, yeah.
So it's all coming together where we're going to acquire some property there. We'll have parking. This does not include, if your council remembers, the trail around Los Niños Park for another walking trail like we have at Central. We'll have that there as well. ADA access to the restroom facility.
Would be a bathroom in that area?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike, for the update. Mike, in my experience, major completion is usually defined somewhere in the contract and basically leaves like a punch list cleanup. And that is what usually terminates the day count and
Correct.
and withholds the contractor from any liability. Is that specifically stipulated in our contract, or is it just we use the industry understanding of that?
I wasn't here when they bid that contract. We used to have it in there. I don't want to misspeak, but we used to have it in there. But industry standard is substantial completion is done, punch list, and then they have time to clean that
And that's
up.
basically established by both parties mutually agreeing that you...
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that.
You bet.
Thank you.
have no
further questions.
I have just a question on the pickleball courts. How many courts are in there?
6.
Is that, I guess that's standard, huh?
6, and I should mention that we're bidding it out with alternates. We hope to get,
6.
pickleball court, fencing, nets, all that. Some of the alternates would be lighting,
Yeah.
where we'll put either a timer where they can, hit a button, play for 30 minutes. And then there'll be a certain cutoff where they're not playing all night, but they can play into the evening.
Great.
I know we had issues on one of these projects before with interference that caused delays in the process. So is there going to be any kind of notice, or how can we address that issue that, because that's why we're at this point with one of these projects, and with the price of material, it's going to be, the cost is going to be astronomical if one of these projects are delayed because of outside interference.
Right. And so we've tried our best to let everybody know. There's already been a little bit of, trying to get into the process, but it's like, you gotta let us bid this out. You gotta steer clear. You can't be contacting our contractors. I wasn't here, but my understanding is somebody outside contacted the contractor that was chosen, and they said, "Oh, we don't want any part of this. It's it's turning into a mess."
Yeah.
And it's cost us time and substantial amount of money
Yes.
because of the delay.
Okay. All righty, Mike. Thank you.
Yeah.
Item 3B, 2024 lodging tax financial recap.
Good evening.
Evening, council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did that.
Alrighty. We're going to get started talking about 2024 tourism, or the lodging tax fund. Let's see. Lodging tax that's withheld within the tourism fund. What I've done is I've broken out the start over. On the very first sheet, you'll see what was budgeted for 2024 lodging tax and what we've actually expended. However, these numbers are unaudited. We're still working on closing out the year, so they could change a little bit. You'll see revenue versus expenses. When we first budgeted for 2024, we budgeted to dip into reserves $314,000. That was a plan to get the stage going at Space to Create, actually get Space to Create into some kind of tourism conference center. That was the plan. So we got the stage, we got the audio visual. We had intended to get furnishing to set up Space to Create, but as lodging tax started coming in less than we anticipated, we pulled back on those expenditures. So what we ended up expending was for the stage and for audio visual. Tables and chairs for seating when there's an event. That's the type of purchases that we made at this point. What I've done is I've taken each category that was adopted in the ordinance on April 18th, 2023. So as if you recall, 20% was to support the Visitor Welcome Center and the Convention Center, 35% was for marketing, 30% for maintenance, improvement, development of recreation facilities and programs, and then 10% for art and cultural events, 5% for miscellaneous, 2% for admin costs. So I've taken each of those categories and created reports because when we post into our accounting system, items don't post that way. I mean, they post in wages and salaries, they post as office supplies, so we had to kind of group everything together to be able to disseminate how much was spent under each category. So the first page is dedicated to the Welcome Center and trolley, the personnel expenses that are related to that. And you can see that the Welcome Center wages were $45,000, building repair and maintenance, everything's broken out for you. And then under the trolley, the wages, $16,000, fuel, $2,900, for a grand total of $103,000. In the original budget, the 20% would have been $133,500. So we came in a little bit under for the personnel expenses for Welcome Center and the trolley. So does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Okay. If we go on to the next page, we'll see marketing and advertising. 35%, which would have been $175,000, that's what was allocated for advertising and marketing. And then you can see all of the different items that were expended against the marketing advertising. One of the items, Fox 21 Summer Getaway sponsor package, was $10,000. Global Vista or Destination IQ, that's the company that was selected by, I'm not sure who was on that selection process, but we went through RFP. That was the company selected to do the marketing for tourism, and they were paid out at $117,000. So that gives you an idea of what kind of expenses we had for marketing and advertising, and we did go over $189,000, but we had $175,000 to spend. Our next category would be 30% for recreation, and you'll see the expenses that were approved or that were expended under this category. For example, our fireworks display was moved into that department. We had the Purgatory River Antlers fly fishing film video, $2,000. The Winterfest light show, $13,000. And then Buckhorn Ridge Outfitters also did a fly fishing promo video for $5,000. So that's the idea behind those. Oh, and of course the most exciting one would be the Santa Fe Trail Days Festival, which was hugely successful. We did end up spending $91,000 for that particular festival. However, we did bring in $21,000 in contributions, donations, and sales, and then we also transferred in marijuana money that was remaining, and that was $21,733. So what was actually expended for Santa Fe Trail Days was $47,000 for a two-day event. And we'll continue moving on to the arts and culture events. These are appropriations voted on by the Lodging Tax Board. This is local festival funding. Example, Trinidad Triggers, $2,500. The Trinidad Community Farmers Market, $3,500. Mount Carmel Summer Music Series, $3,500. So what was actually budgeted there was $50,000, and $32,800 was spent. And finally, there's miscellaneous. These are items that just don't fit in any category. That would include postage or shipping, training and travel, mileage, utilities, dues and subscriptions, items that don't fit under those other categories. $68,000 was budgeted, but $72,000 was expended. And finally, admin fees. 2% of the lodging tax revenues collected are transferred into general fund for all the work that we do to get everything posted and reporting, and that ended up being $7,200 for the year. As I said before, we had budgeted $290,000 to do some improvements to the Space to Create building to get it conference ready. Of that amount, We've spent $163,000, and I'll go back to the fact that we pulled back because we weren't collecting lodging tax as anticipated. But you'll see we have the Epson projectors for the light shows that we were conducting, and then the space to create stage, and then audio visual. So those are the types of expenses that went through reserves. And finally, travel shop really isn't a part of lodging tax collected, but this is where we have it housed. Travel shop is budgeted as revenue and expense. Money we expend to buy inventory is earned as revenue, and this fund usually makes us about $5,000, I'm sorry, this program makes us around $5,000 a year. We expended, let's see, $12,800, but our revenue was $17,000. So we always bring in some money. They do a good job with that. And I don't know if you've seen the items at the Welcome Center. There's some really good stuff for purchase there. It's really nice Trinidad marketing products. Anyway, back to the main page. You will see that we did come in under expenditure because, again, we pulled back because we weren't collecting the revenue anticipated, and we did under expend by $170,000. We did still dip into reserves, but $235,000 versus $290,000. I do have the breakout of all of the expenses I've talked about. These are the, you'll see, for example, on marketing and advertising, it lists every single payment that we made throughout the whole year. Council's welcome to have this copy. I can email it to you if you'd like to see it, but I did condense these reports into this, the final. Does anybody have any questions?
Mr. Williams, do you have any questions?
Thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. I know we've had some brief discussion. Is there plans at any point that this might be publicly available as easily as marijuana funds? Is that something that we may do?
Yes, I believe that we could get this type of report online, on our website, but we would have to do it quarterly. Tourism tax or lodging tax is collected on a quarterly basis. So if I were to post this right now, it shows that we haven't collected anything.
Sure.
We won't collect till March 20th, which is coming up, and we won't really know those figures until April. So if we could post at the end of every quarter, that would work.
All right. Thank you so much for the
Yes.
report. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your report. I have no questions. I appreciate your hard work.
Thank you, Cheryl, for putting this together. It's really nicely done. One of the questions that I have, it's more of a clarification, just so everyone's aware that this is based upon the 3% sales tax, not the 6% tax that we.
Correct. 2024 is under 3%.
Okay, so and we won't see those until probably April or May.
Correct. The first January through March should be collected at 6%, and we won't receive those payments until right now, the end of March.
Okay, so this way, so everyone's clear that these are on the 3% tax, not the 6% tax.
Right.
So we'll actually get those numbers later on. Once we collect.
That's correct.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
No, thank you, Cheryl. Good job getting that all for us.
Yes, thank you, Cheryl. Just one question on the kiosk. Is that an interactive kiosk with a self-service terminal that allows people to access information? Is it at the Welcome Center?
I don't, where did you see kiosk?
It's in
Marketing.
the marketing.
Cheryl tracks the dollars, not the
super.
technology.
Sufa kiosk,
Yeah,
that is
Sufa.
there's one at Welcome Center and one at the Pocket Park.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know
I
what
think
they
there's
do.
one on Main Street, isn't there?
No,
It's not interactive.
Yes, they're not
It
interactive.
just, advertises certain things and we can update and put that on there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for everything.
So Cheryl, since, if I remember correctly, we bought the projectors last year in time for Santa Fe Trail Days, right? So why are we for the Winterfest light show, or There's line items in here for that projection machine. Is it, why are we, if it's a cash layout one time, why is it an expense continuing on? Or is that a,
So, the winter,
yeah,
let's
any
see.
of them, like,
So Winterfest Light Show was paid at the beginning of 2024, and we were buying those projectors at the beginning of 2024.
okay.
So,
I saw it somewhere, I can't find it now. But it shows light show.
Cinco de Mayo too.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo light show, 25.
so we were paying the person to do the light show.
Okay.
Yes.
Does anybody, staff know how to use that?
And we have not actually talked about using that for Santa Fe Trail Days because it was a little bit dangerous. It was very dark and people were walking up and down Animas. It just didn't feel safe.
Okay.
So until we can find a place where we have everybody stationary, we'd be able to do a light show specifically for a light show, not because something else is going on.
Okay. One more question. When we have these events like we sponsor, like the Cinco de Mayo, the Santa Fe Trail Festival, is there any a matrix that the city does to figure out what kind of if we make profit or lose money or attendance or anything, so we'll know how to like firm up events so we don't spend money on events that aren't successful, or that's not your job?
It's my understanding that if an agency or nonprofit receives funding, they're supposed to track that themselves.
Okay.
How many visitors came in, if there's some type of report that they're supposed to fill out, they have to turn that back in to tourism board, or I should say Marty Hackett, before they can request more funding. And then I don't know that process. I don't handle that.
Okay. I know sometimes profit's not the main driver, but it would help to know what if it's successful or not. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Good job.
Item 4, petitions or communications, oral or written. This is the public comment section. If you want to express your opinions or views regarding city services, policies, or other matters of community concern, and any agenda items that are not scheduled publicly, you'll have 5 minutes to speak. Mr. Downs is our timekeeper. He will give you a 1-minute advance notice when you're up to 4 minutes, and we will ask you to stop at 5 minutes. Danielle Rollo, she didn't say what her topic was. Danielle? You sent us a letter, is that what you're gonna read?
Well, I don't have to read it if you don't want me to.
No, because I was gonna read it.
Oh, well,
If
you
you
can
don't.
read it. You can read it.
No.
I just wanted to express my thanks to all of you for starting this first step in the proposed camping ban. And so if you want to read it.
You read it.
Okay. I'd like to thank all of you for finally taking this first step in addressing a long-standing major problem in our community, and to express my strong support for the proposed camping ban ordinance in Trinidad. Encampments in public spaces present serious concerns regarding public safety, sanitation, and overall quality of life for residents and businesses in our community. A clear and enforceable policy is necessary to maintain order, protect property, and ensure that public spaces remain accessible and clean for all citizens. The presence of unauthorized camping has led to our parks and trails being littered with trash and environmental hazards, making these public amenities unusable for the taxpayers of our community and their children, not to mention the visitors that we are wanting to invite into our town to spend time and money. Public parks, trails, sidewalks, and business districts should not be used as living spaces or for large groups of people to congregate, as this creates safety risks for the general public. A well-defined ordinance will provide law enforcement with the necessary tools to address these issues directly and uphold public standards. In addition to addressing public encampments, I urge the city to strengthen the enforcement of current municipal codes related to private property upkeep. Properties that are neglected, whether through excessive trash, debris, overgrown landscaping, or general disrepair, contribute to declining property values, neighborhood deterioration, and public health concerns. Enforcing these regulations ensures that all residents and property owners uphold their responsibility in maintaining clean, orderly, and safe spaces. Stricter enforcement of these codes will enhance the overall appearance and livability of Trinidad. Property owners should be held accountable for maintaining their land and their buildings, I should have said, in accordance with city regulations, preventing blight and fostering a well-kept community. I encourage the council to allocate the necessary resources to enforce these ordinances consistently, ensuring that violations are addressed promptly and effectively. I really want to thank you guys for your leadership on these critical issues. Thank you.
Frank Benoni, you have no subject matter listed either.
Who was it?
Frank?
Mayor, City Council members, Mr. Valentine,
Good evening.
Mr. Downs,
Good evening, sir.
staff, don't have that on fast. So basically, I'm old school, guys. I read in the paper, I read in the Chronicle News, and I didn't get the Chronicle News until Saturday morning about you're planning to do some kind of an ordinance regarding parks, camping and stuff. So I thought about this and I just wrote this up this afternoon. I would like to express my concern of the behavior of the homeless in our community. Behavior has grown way overboard. It is rare to go to any major commercial area or street without encountering a homeless person, taking drugs or buying them. It is human nature to feel compassion and desire to ease the hardship of the homeless, but this behavior is way overboard. What we currently do not have in the community are strong and well-established ordinances to detour the behavior. I feel having ordinances in place to prevent loitering, camping, would be better for our community. It may be unpopular or even damaging to discuss solutions to remedy the problem amongst all of you and local political leaders, but this has become a major issue. We need laws and ordinances to be enforced for vagrancy, trespassing, soliciting, loitering, and even littering. These crimes have little punishment, but have severe consequences to the quality and life and the image of our community. Furthermore, due to the reality of the high prevalence of mental illness and substance abuse, there are safety concerns as well. While some charities are acting in good faith, they may actually be doing more harm than good. How can we expect to control this behavior when we are allowing drugs to be handed out on Main Street and in front of fast food establishments? We're a home rule town. We need to stop this behavior from continuing. In closing, I believe that more citizens should be brave enough to speak out. I was told here by a person that does business with me, he seen me writing this up down at my place of business, and he said, "Man," he said, "you're going to go before city council with that?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're a businessman." I said, "I know I am, but I'm part of the community." We are a community that has so much potential, but our epidemic homeless population is a symptom of growing pains. I think you all know that. I urge our community and law enforcement to take action to deal and detour this problem in our town. Let's create ordinances that are actually implemented and make sure they're enforced. Thank you very much.
Chelsea Neese, and she has no topic either. You guys are, nobody listed a topic you wanted to discuss. We kind of have an
Goodness.
idea what it is.
Huh? I
said
know,
we-
you probably think I'm here to yell at you.
No,
You'll hear my message when it's time.
okay.
So I do just want to mention a few things. Obviously, everyone in front of me is a leader. I am a leader in my own right. And I think when it comes to leadership in any form, that communication is at the utmost importance. In our political sphere right now, we hear this word efficiency way overused, and one of the parts about being efficient is effective communication. And so to have a work session and not have the appropriate stakeholders involved left you guys in that work session at the same spot in which you started it. So moving forward, it would be appreciated for maybe some more notice, something like that, to where the appropriate stakeholders can make it to the table. But with that being said, I'm going to be the leader that I am, and I'm an action-oriented leader. And so I'm going to personally invite each of you to our A Home for Everyone event. I'll give this to you, Les.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It is going to be a volunteer and fundraising event in which tickets, literally I just started talking about it today, and tickets have already begun to sell. So I am not promoting this publicly until you all have an opportunity to buy your tickets. So although that is an invitation, it is also an expectation of those of you who are solution-focused around this issue. If you are not solution-focused, I would prefer if you would not take up a spot from somebody who would like to be there to use their voice. And so I would also like to request that the City of Trinidad become a super sponsor volunteer for that event if we are really about the true action that we would like to take here. I am not going to get too deep into the camping ban and ordinances. However, if we don't have a place, we don't have progress. So this is going to be our first step in actually taking action, not just saying that we're doing something about it. And so I will be making a big deal about those who do support us and who do end up supporting this mission. And for those of you who don't, I feel really apologetic. However, if you are not going to be solution focused, please do not show up. And that is just because we want to make sure that we are making progress throughout this meeting. It is from 1 to 4 p.m. at Space to Create on Saturday, April 5th. For those of you who watched the Los Animas County Commissioner meeting this morning, I apologize, I said the 4th. It is Saturday the 5th, so I do want to correct myself in that. And then we'll be doing a networking hour at the Hive afterwards because we want to support those small businesses in our community as well. So I don't think I took my 5 minutes. This might be a miracle, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chelsea.
Thanks.
Joe Bernardo?
Good evening, everybody. Hello. Everybody knows that my name's Joe Bonello. I didn't want to come here tonight to speak, but as I was standing there and sitting there listening to this conversation going on, we really have a problem. Really have a problem with our homeless people. You know, ever since I've been on council, we were trying to figure out what to do with these people, and we're still trying to figure it out. I don't have the answers. I don't know if you people have the answers, but it's a dirty shame when I can't take my grandson, who has autism, down to Chimino Park, down to McDonald's to get a Happy Meal and see all this that's going on. What can we do? I don't know what we could do. But if there's some kind of ordinance that we have to pass, we got to do this. We can't let nothing go by us. I haven't been in this council meeting since I was a council member. And I firmly look at what's going on the YouTube or whatever it is. And there's a lot of decisions that have been made that should have been made yesterday, not today. You see what I'm saying? So keep this under your little hat there, and let's get this, whatever we could do, get it done. Whatever happened to Mr. Monorano, the police officer that used to ride his bike? They used to go up and down Main Street, go on the river walk, patrol everything. Whatever happened to that young man? People were kind of happy they could walk on the river walk when they knew Mr. Monorano was around. Now, you can't even put one foot on the river walk without being harassed. So I'm asking you again, Mr. Downs, if there's something legally we could do, let's do it. I know it's a hard decision, and I don't know, like I say, what I want to do. But the last thing I just wanted to tell this council, I'm very disappointed in Councilwoman Ogletree. If I could say this is part of my discussion. If I could say this, every council meeting I watch, she's not present. Present to me is being physically present, like you people, not on Skype. So that's one concern I have about this council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5, council reports. Mr. DeBona.
Los Angeles County Veterans Council, tomorrow, there's going to be a Veterans Coffee, Tea, and Social. It's going to be held at the Mount Carmel Wellness and Community Center from 10 to 11:30 a.m. And the coffee and tea is provided by Kangaroo Coffee. And in April, at the Mount Carmel Wellness Center, there's going to be veterans art classes, and it's going to be held April 25th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. It's in the garden room, and you can phone the Wellness Center to register. I think that number is 845-4894. And it's open to the veterans and their spouses, and the conductor is Darcy Minsick.
Mr. Shea.
I don't have any reports, we haven't had any meetings.
Okay. Mr. Trujillo.
On March 14th, I attended the CML Policy Committee. It was a short one. There was only 5 items going into legislation that they were questioning. So it was a pretty brief meeting, which was kind of nice, especially when it comes to legislation. I do have those here if anybody wants to look at those topics and see how they were voted on. I also attended the Hispanic Chamber meeting, and plans are finalized for Cinco de Mayo. We're looking to be as big as we were last year, possibly bigger. We hope everybody attends, and that's pretty much all I have.
Mr.
Nothing to report, but I want to make a comment. Parks and Rec ought to be really excited about what's going on with the pickleball court and the skate park. So I'm sure we will have something to report in the following work sessions and meetings. So thank you very much, Mike, for that.
Mr.
Mayor, I have no report. I have several meetings coming up next week, so thank you.
Just an FYI, Councilman Ogletree is not here because she had a medical emergency. She texted me and she's very concerned. She wanted to be here because there's several subjects on the agenda that she wanted to discuss. So we wish her well and hope everything turns out okay. The only thing I have on my council report is I was contacted by prior Mayor Phil Rico. He wanted to continue. If those of you remember, we had what they called a legislative roundtable. It started, I think in 2018. And what happens is we get state representatives, we get local representatives. We all come together and give a presentation about what's new and exciting that's happening in our corner of the world. And then everybody that comes has an opportunity to ask questions of those legislators and officials from all parts of the county to come together. So Mr. Rico wanted to resurrect that last year because of situations within the city. I don't think it was our turn last year, it was the counties. We alternate. 1 year the county sponsors it, 1 year the city sponsors it. Well, we didn't have one last year. So Mr. Rico wanted to have the chamber sponsor it because, with the economy as it is and everything going on with the general business of the community and the county, none of us had time to put it together. So I fielded the question to Chairman Lopez of the County Commissioners, and he felt that it is our duty as public officials to do it and not the chamber. So we're going to give it a shot again. And it was his suggestion, and I think it's a great suggestion, to wait until after the state legislature recesses for the year, which would probably set our legislative roundtable for some time in May, late May, hopefully no before the 1st of June. And he had his reasons, and I agree with that timetable, because we're getting 2 positions that are very vital to this community are going to be new, and we'd like to have those people on board and somewhat familiar with the community before we do that. Mr. Valentine is an interim, and I think we've asked enough of Mr. Valentine. We don't need to ask anymore. So Ms. Marshall will be hopefully participating, as well as our new chief of police. Will that position?
It'll be close, but
It'll be close.
yeah.
We might know who it is by that time.
Yes.
So if anybody on council, I'm not calling for a vote. If anybody on council is not agreeable with this, please let me know, and I'll refer it to Chairman Lopez of the county commissioners, and then we'll go from there. So please let me know if you're willing to participate. Item 6, consent agenda approval. The consent agenda can be adopted by a simple motion. The consent agenda will be read aloud prior to a vote on the motion. Any consent agenda item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of a council member for individual consideration. I usually don't read that, but I'm doing it tonight just to remind council members, if there's something that you want to discuss in more detail than on a consent agenda, please let me know before. Okay. Item 6A, approval of the special meeting minutes of March 3rd and regular meeting minutes of March 4th and special meeting minutes of March 10th, all of 2025. Item 6B, approval of bills totaling $1,692,322.42. Item 6C, approval of payroll March 1st, 2025 through March 14th, 2025, and March 15th, 2025 through March 28th, 2025. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Mr. Shu, Councilman Shu made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thurman,
Yes.
second. Call the vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Trahell,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Griego.
Yes. Item 9B. First reading of an ordinance establishing and implementing a program to change mitigation rates for the deployment of emergency and non-emergency services by the Trinidad Fire Department for services rendered by the department, and setting a public hearing date for consideration of said ordinance at 6 p.m. on April 15th, 2025. I need somebody to introduce.
I'll introduce.
Let me finish.
Gotta win one.
Okay. I need a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. DeBono is the second. Call for the vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Thurman,
Yes.
Trahell,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Griego.
Yes. Is, Chief, are you going to come and say anything? We had some
More
questions.
than happy to.
Please do.
Okay.
We want you to come out of the dark and into the light.
I like it in the dark, though.
I can see Dave.
There were a few questions I think we had from the last time.
We did.
Okay.
Mayor, council members, there was an indemnification language that Councilman Ogletree wanted put in. That company put it right in. I had Mr. Downs review it again, and he seems to think that we're good on the language of the contract. Okay? I put together some facts just so you understand where I'm going with this. During our budget process, I was asked to cut my budget by 10% for 2025. So that left me $20,000 in my fire equipment line item to purchase equipment, okay? Before, I used to be able to come to you all for marijuana requests, but now we're using that money elsewhere, okay? So my thought is, how do I generate some revenue to supplement the fire department budget so we can stay abreast of things, okay? So, how the money will be used to replace and repair damaged equipment. Just for an example, on our last house fire that we had in town here, one of my guys took a lot of heat and it damaged our gear, his jacket and pant. So I had to send that off to get it recertified. They're gonna tell me, yes, I can repair it, no, it's good, or you need to replace it. To replace a jacket and a pair of pants is $3,500 because it's a 3-layer material so we can enter 1,000-degree temperatures and put fires out, okay? I was fully staffed at the end of the year, so I wasn't expecting any turnover, but one of my employees went on to another occupation, so now I have an opening. When I hire a new employee, if I don't have gear that fits, that it's old, we have to custom make gear to fit that firefighter. So I can't really hire off of what I built for the guy that left, unless I use like a tape measure and say, okay, we can hire you because you fit into this gear, which is kind of discrimination, okay? So once we hire our new guy, we'll be able to see where we're at on that gear, but that's another $3,500. So that's $7,000 out of my $20,000 already, right? Okay. Wildland boots, and again, when I'm talking about equipment, it's used across different services that we provide for our community, okay? So our wildland boots are mainly for wildland firefighting, but we use them for day-to-day operations and technical rescue, rope rescue, stuff like that. Right now, all of our boots are about 3 years old. I did put in for a grant through the state on that, and I'll know next month for 17 pairs, but that's about $7,300 to replace those boots, okay? Training, I got 5 guys that need water rescue and rope rescue, and that's a service that we provide. And that's about $1,500 a person, so 10 classes, about $15,000, and I only have $20,000 in my training budget. So I went through and I did all of the calls that we're looking at charging for, okay? So last year on motor vehicle incidences, we had 15, so that would generate about $9,000 in revenue. Car fires, we had 9, about $7,500 in revenue. Extrication, we actually had 1, and it would cost us about 18, or we would get in revenue $1,800. If we had to create a landing zone, we did 1 in the county. That would be about $550. We had 2 hazmat calls. That would generate about $1,944. We had 4 rescues for about $2,500, which will generate. And we had 2 illegal fires, and if we could bill for those, that'd be about $1,250. So if you add it all up, the potential revenue based off of last year's call volume, and we ran 1,620 calls last year. If we bill, it'd be about $24,615, less the 22% that this company is going to charge to do our billing, because I don't have staffing and I don't want to get into the billing business. So we'd make about $19,200 just off of billing off of those incidents, okay? The cost of equipment, and I'm not gonna, if you want a specific cost, I have it. But for us to provide extrication, vehicle stabilization, and building stabilization, our equipment, this is no people, this is just the actual equipment we use to do that, cost us $80,000. Okay? For hazmat, it's running about $335 per person, and that is all disposable. So once we use it, we have to dispose of it because it's contaminated. Okay? Our structural firefighting gear, and again, this is used across several disciplines, so car fires, vehicle extrication. We got a grant for single layer gear, but that's for like high angle rescue and wildland fire. I have to have that triple layer gear because if I have a flash fire and I don't have that triple layer gear, my guys will get burned, okay? So just to outfit a guy to fight structure fire, it's $14,450 per individual. Our breathing apparatus is $9,000. And then for our high and low angle rescue, we got about $15,000 worth of equipment. So if I can find some way to generate revenue, replace equipment as it breaks or as we need more equipment, that's kind of where I'm going with this. You have any questions?
Chief, can you just real brief reassure the folks in council that you're going on fires, you're going on medical calls,
Right.
you're not going...
We're not billing for any EMS calls, which is 68% of our business,
Right.
and we are not billing for structure fires. This is just revenue that is out there that we can try and get some money back to help maintain these services that we're providing for our community.
Okay. You know what, when you were spinning out all those figures, I think you should ask Cheryl for a part-time job. You did a good
I
job.
cannot do her job.
Well, you sounded pretty good there, Chief.
So, can
Okay,
I answer any questions?
Chief, I think, thank you for being here, first off, and for everything you guys do. I think we discussed this last time, and I just wanted to revisit that. This is going to be governed by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, correct? Any collection effort that may occur?
Correct.
Secondly, in reading through it, the fees that are going to be collected, for the majority of these, they would be billed through insurance for the majority, right?
That's correct.
From your vantage point, is it easy to list which ones would not be an insurance bill issue and would be a personal responsibility?
We would have to judge each call based on who has insurance and who does not have insurance. Does that
Sure,
answer your question?
Predominantly, it's going to be billed through insurance.
Right, and all of our hazmat is billed back to whoever spilled the hazmat. That's a federal law. I don't get around billing for hazmat.
And then the other question that I had is, I've done some, I think it'd be a stretch to call it research, but looking into it online to see how many other communities have the same sort of practice of billing for the same items. And I couldn't find any, say, percentage of communities, but it's more prevalent than one might have imagined.
Right, and I can't remember how many companies or fire departments this company bills for, but it's a lot, and they have a coverage mapping. You can pull up Fire Recovery USA on the internet, and their map is right there, and it tells you how many fire departments they're doing business with.
And I think it's something that's important to reiterate. This isn't intended to be a chilling effect on expected response that you have that is covered by taxpayers.
Correct.
So
correct,
I just think that's important.
and this company only gets what I send them to bill out. So we're gonna be very diligent on what I send them and make sure that it should be billed.
Okay, and then the last thing that I wanted to say, if I may, and I'm hoping this isn't taking too much privilege, but I do know Councilwoman Ogletree had a lot of interest in this, and this won't be a final decision until the next meeting, so she'll still have a time and way to you know, ask questions. But with that, I have no further questions, Mayor.
Mr. Thurman?
Just a real simple question. How long has this company been in business that does the collection?
Again, I'm going back, but I could have swore it was like 20 years.
Yes.
They've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure that the public knows that
I was more focused on getting my facts to present than.
Right. No, it's okay. It's
No,
okay.
you're good.
Just want to make sure that everybody knows.
I can
this
get that
is not-
answer for you, though.
No worries. I appreciate you too.
Thank you.
Councilman Triva?
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate you doing this because we had talked about this before and we've gone into detail with this quite a few times actually.
Right.
I don't see an issue with it being that we've kind of fallen behind everybody else. The other municipalities that I've noticed that have gone through and are actually already taking advantage of this. So I think this is a great idea. I think it's fine the way it's stated. I don't have any questions for you, sir. So I appreciate all the hard work you do, and thank you for saving my neighborhood constantly.
I'll pass that on to the folks.
No, I don't have any questions. Thank you, doing a good job.
Thank you.
Dave, thank you for everything that you do. I wanted to ask you, is there any grant money available? I know some fire departments charge fees for fire safety education programs for schools and businesses.
We try to go after every grant that we can. Like I said, we went after the grant for the wildland boots. I did submit a grant, next month I submit the grant for training to try and get 3 more guys through rope rescue and water rescue, and so we'll see how that comes out. But grants are getting pretty slim, so we're trying to get whatever we can.
So if grants aren't available, I guess.
It's on us.
Yeah, okay.
So, I've really been thinking about this since you first presented to us. And you and I have been working with that issue in Manny's neighborhood for a year, maybe?
A year and a half.
Year and a half. So I'm thinking about this, maybe an ordinance like this would help encourage that property owner to get rid of that eyesore that you.
I think after today's conversations, we're pretty close. I think by next week, we're gonna see some movement on that.
But I
just so you
think
know.
if there's a cost, I mean, there's a lot of people that misuse any kind of system that's free. Okay, and I think that property owner has been misusing our services to the 10th degree, and you know,
That's not for me to,
well,
I'm
I'll
just
say-
there to, when they call.
I'll say it for you, because when I saw that other house down the street
Yep.
that was burning that one morning, I was concerned because your guys are putting their lives on the line to take that fire down. And I think it would behoove us to do this.
I think on the illegal fires, I mean, we could send them a bill, but I don't think we're gonna get any
No,
money on it. You know
What's
what I
an
mean?
illegal fire?
So like, if you're out there with the warming fire, we don't allow any open burning in the city. That's
Okay.
your ordinance. So we don't allow that. So if somebody's out there that lights something on fire and we catch them, you know, we assess a fee and the police do what the police do.
okay.
But there's a lot of property that's getting damaged that should not be getting damaged. I guess that would be the politically
Yeah.
right way to say that.
So
But that's our job. That's what we were hired to do, and we love doing our job, and we'll go do whatever we're called to do.
I understand that, and there's certain situations that the degree of danger that you incur is worth what you're doing it for, saving lives, saving property, and things like that. But some of these situations, it's just unreal that the amount of work you have to do. You and I have been good best buds for about a year now with that one situation.
Yep. It's amazing that what fire will bring, it'll bring you together, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I'm fully supportive of this. I
Okay.
think, you know,
And I just want Councilman Ogletree to, if she has questions, I'll be available to answer them
Okay.
for her.
and we can cancel this if it doesn't do what we want it to do, or we assume
Yeah.
it's gonna do.
Yeah, all it takes is a letter that says this is not working for us and we're gonna try something different.
Okay,
Okay?
all righty, sir, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
All righty, I need,
Mayor, if I may, I was just going to mention, for the sake of the public visiting, if there was comment, it can take place at the next meeting.
thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Williamson.
That's important.
Okay, call the vote.
I think you already did.
Did we?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, I got carried away. Why didn't you?
I would have told you.
Okay.
You get
All
that.
right.
They beat him to it.
Item 9B, first reading of an ordinance amending section 13-2 of chapter 13 concerning park hours and camping, and setting a public date for consideration of said ordinance at 6 p.m. on April 15th, 2025. I need someone to introduce.
I'll introduce.
Is that you, Mr. Williamson?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay. Second?
Second.
No, I'm sorry.
Need a motion.
Yeah. Is that you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I think I recognize your voices, but
Thank you.
is there a second?
Second.
Let's discuss this one first before we go. Who's presenting?
We could take him, and I suppose, Mayor, this was discussed at City Council. We kind of went through it extensively. There were some questions and concerns that we edited. We made edits to.
That's right.
And I don't know if Les has anything to add, but it's before you as we presented at work session.
Okay.
And Mayor and council members, I agree, this is what I think council wanted and was asking for. It's kind of a big beginning for the larger picture regarding, a number of issues associated with this. But I do think this is what council was asking for.
Okay, thank you.
But
Mr. Williamson, do you have any questions?
Les, I wasn't able to determine when you say it was edited, I maybe missed the edits. Where were they predominantly?
I don't have a copy of the one from before.
In effect, reading it, the spirit or intent of it hasn't changed.
That's correct,
It's just-
that's correct. Nothing substantive.
I
Okay.
think we defined embankment and riverbank. That was a question.
But nothing substantive, we didn't change
Yeah.
it.
One question I had, and if you wouldn't mind explaining how that works. There's nothing that really speaks of enforcement in it. How does that work in the city code?
This will become enforceable. It's not an offense per se, but we do have, the camping ban will be enforceable but not citable.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any more questions?
I have no further questions, Mayor.
No questions.
Mr. Trudeau?
You actually answered my question.
Good,
Because I was curious about, is there a citation or if it is just,
right.
no, it is. Awesome, thank you.
Have we not had anything in place before this?
We have.
And
And
is
as a
it
matter of
changed
fact,
anything?
it was 13.2, yes, it's more comprehensive. There will be no camping from 10 p.m. until 5 a.m., I believe the hours were. It was a very brief ordinance. This is much more comprehensive in terms of definitions and not having camping. on all public property.
Right. And so this is more, you could say, an update for our police force to act,
Yes,
give them something more to
that's correct.
enforce the ordinances.
It's a camping ban on all public property in the city of Trinidad.
Does that include not so much camping, but people on sidewalks, everything else? Is that all included in that?
Well, that,
I mean,
if they meet the
If
definition
they
of
are,
camping.
I mean, that would be considered camping when they're in their doorways and stuff like that, correct?
Right, it could be, if they were like set up there, right? Otherwise, it would be loitering.
Because that seems to be the biggest issue for the business people, that they're camping right in their doorways and stuff like that.
And also, like we talked about before, kind of the semi-permanent nature of camping sites and how they would tend to expand. I think that's what really brought this forward.
You know, question, they did a cleanup on a river there last week, and now it's back to what it was. So how do we prevent that?
Well, I would say to do the same thing
So
again.
we're just gonna clean it up and then it can come right back?
Yes, until we have more solutions. I think that's
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's kind of,
I wish I could give you a better answer, but I think that's,
okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's kind of silly that if we push them out, then they come right back.
I
It just
understand.
creates more work for our, and is this gonna be clean up? If they don't clean their area up, are they gonna be, how's that gonna, do you have to clean up their own area when we move them?
Well, I think when they're being moved, I think law enforcement frequently they're kind of having to clean up a lot of campsites. I think that is sort of a complaint that you get from police officers when they're having to move a campsite, is that they're having to do a bit of a cleanup.
Is our police officers doing it or our Parks Department?
Parks and Public Works.
Oh,
That's what I was
Go in
asking,
there,
yes. Okay,
That's it.
yep.
No questions, a few have been answered, so thank you.
So, Mr. Downs, you mentioned no siding.
yeah.
I know it would probably be frugal to have a penalty or a fine for
Right.
doing this. Is there something that we could do as far as citing them when the police officers come to explain that it's
Sure.
illegal, or something that has a little bit more seriousness to
Right,
it?
and Mayor, I think that under the previous provision, under some of these, it may be citable. For example, it shall be unlawful for any person within the bounds of any public park. And I'm sorry, that's not the section I wanted. No person shall be cited for a violation of this section unless the person engages in conduct prohibited by this section after having been notified by a law enforcement officer that the conduct violates this section. So if they're warned, I think they can be cited.
All right, so just for those of you that this has been the topic of the meeting tonight, but this is step one in a process that's going to evolve. You know, Alamosa was doing theirs for what, 3 or 4 years? Yes. So this is step one on a process that is going to go further than my tenure here on council. But we have to do something because, you know, we're here, we're concerned about public safety. I've gotten a couple of calls where people were worried about danger of tripping over cords that are plugged in to where the electrical outlets are on the trees, because people are charging their cell phones, and we have to try and do the best we possibly can for the safety of everyone, not just one segment of our community. It has to be for everyone. So it would behoove us to start this, to understand it, and it might help the success of a established camping site might be better if we have something. So you can't park, you can't camp downtown, but if we can get a specific area for them to park, to camp in, it would be, I think, more agreeable to everyone. But this is going to be a process. It took how many years to repair the skate park? Now we're starting on a whole new project. So please bear with us. It's going to take a while. That being said, nobody else has questions?
I just want to put out there, Councilwoman Ogletree also had some questions on this and wanted some input. The question that she had posed is if the police department had any input on the ordinance and its enforceability. So I just want to put that out there for her, being that she could not be here this evening.
And we did have interim police chief Tahanovich add comments, and those are incorporated.
Thank you.
Okay, going once. Anybody? We call the vote.
DeBono?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Trail?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Grego?
Yes. Item 10, reports by city manager and city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. I really don't have anything to report. I just want to make a clarification. At our last regular meeting, I was put on the spot that I signed a trail agreement over the limits. I would just say that was not in my tenure. I'm interim. I did not sign that, but what we did do is Mr. Downs wrote a letter and we terminated that contract. So it only ran for 1 year. I think, I want to say it was $96,000, $98,000, and we have a good portion of trail built out there, but and that was previous city manager, so I just wanted to clear that up.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
Okay. You're exonerated. I know. Mr. Downs, do you have anything?
Thank you. I do, Mayor and council members. I have three things. One, I want to report on the project, or on the progress of the contract for Ms. Marshall. Progress, we have agreed as to contract terms, and the contract is just awaiting the signatures of the important parties, Ms. Marshall and the mayor especially. We're going to be having a special meeting on March 24th after the work session for council to take action with respect to that contract. And that will be on Monday. The other thing I want to let you know is that at that work session, Pam Briscoe from the City Animal Shelter is wanting to have we're all wanting to have on the agenda, but Ms. Briscoe is going to be addressing you regarding the issue of increasing the number of animals that people would be allowed to have, the same kind of animal, so that if approved, the ordinance would go from 3 to 6. That is, that people would be allowed to go from having 3 dogs to 6 dogs, or 3 cats to 6 cats. And she is wanting council to consider doing that and making that change. And I will speak to that at that work session, in my opinion. Regarding that, the last thing I want to tell you is that at the last regular meeting, James and Paula Harrington were here, and they asked you about having, right, exactly, hate speech, and having a resolution banning hate speech. And I want to tell you that that is not permissible. And I've done a bit of research on the subject, but so you know, hate speech in the United States cannot be directly regulated by the government due to the fundamental right to freedom of speech protected by the Constitution. A Supreme Court case on point, Mattal versus Tam, says such. That was I believe, a unanimous decision by the U.S. Supreme Court. And also, as objectionable as hate speech was, the example was swastikas in Nazi salutes. It is not permissible for governmental entities to regulate hate speech. And what may be hate speech to one person, of course, may not be hate speech to another. I could give you examples, but I'll refrain. So I just want to let you know that.
Quick question. Mr. Downs, was it you that put Mrs. Briscoe up to raise the limit?
No, it's a good question. I have two.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's a really good idea. But I will tell you about that next meeting. But it wasn't me.
Okay.
No. And also I've talked to Pam Nelson, the municipal court judge, about that, and she has some good ideas as well. But no, it wasn't my idea.
Okay, that's it?
Yes.
Item 11, executive session for a conference with the city's attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS Section 24-6024B, boards and commissions. I need a motion.
So moved.
Sure moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Williams. Call the vote, please.
Bono?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Thurman?
Yes.
Trahell?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes. Let's see, it's 7:25. Let's take a 10-minute break so the audience can be thankful.